Welcome class back to Chapter 4, Adding Images. This video will cover our third lesson, Insert a Background Image and Perform Site Maintenance. You can insert a background image on a web page to provide depth and visual interest to the page or to communicate a message or a mood. Now, background images can be used in place of our colors on our pages, and they can also be used on portions of our pages as well. So a tiled image is a small image that repeats across and down a web page, appearing as individual squares or rectangles. So when you choose a background image, you want to make sure that it is seamless so that you don't see where the image ends and begins. So you want to be very careful when you choose a small image that will be a tiled image. You can also use background images for some sections of your page, as I noted earlier. So you can also do this for background colors as well. So maybe on article, here is a background image, maybe on a side, maybe there's a color. So you can use it to enhance. You just want to be careful that you have a nice symmetrical balance. So here's an example. This is an image that is a larger image. It's not a tiled image. So you can also choose images that will fill your entire page, and then you have your elements that lay on that image. This one is also an example of a gradient because the image is used in a gradient. You can see that it's a darker blue up here in the right corner. And then as it goes this way diagonally, it starts to become lighter and also gets to white. Okay, so a diagonal gradient there. To avoid accumulating unnecessary files, it's a good idea to look at an image first before you place it on the page and then copy it to the assets folder. So it's a good idea to have an area for all of your images that you have downloaded, and then when you use them in your website, then you would put them in your assets folder, or maybe you call it the images folder. It's a good idea. This is what I just talked about. So this is unedited versions in that external folder, and when it is edited and used in your website, we use it in the assets folder. With monitors today that display millions of colors, you're not limited with the number of colors that you can use. So you can choose that beautiful image that enhances your website and not have to really be concerned about accessibility when it comes to your website. You can also use the eyedropper tool in the color picker to pick up a color from a page element, such as a background of an image, and I'll demonstrate that. If you are designing pages that will be displayed with a web device such as our phones, be aware that some of these may not have as many colors. So just try to keep the balance. You don't want to have tons of colors when you're using, maybe say for a logo, but when you're trying to display an image, you're going to go ahead and use that. So let's look at page 22 through 25. And before we do that, my last comment there, just make sure you test. Okay, so do I use a lot of color or do I not use a lot of color? Well, you just got to test it. Use the image, test it in the smartphones, and test it in tablets, and test it in the desktop, and that way you will know. Okay, so we're going to insert a background to our striped umbrella, and we're going to do it through an embedded style, and then we'll see how that goes. Okay, so 22 through 25. So in your directions for your book, it says to use the modify menu. Well, it's not a modify menu, it's the file menu. So there is no modify. So we'll click on file and then go to page properties. When we do this, okay, so anytime you use page properties from the file menu, you are creating an embedded style. Okay, so we're going to stick with the appearance CSS. We're going to browse to our data files. And we're going to use water JPEG. And then click on apply. So now I have this image behind my page, okay, and it is water JPEG. Okay, so let's look at how it was applied in code. So I gotta go ahead and click OK here. So if I scroll down to the bottom, nope, it's actually being applied into, nope, my bad, I'm not thinking correctly. It's in source code because it's in the page style. So scrolling up into the head section of my code, I see a style section. So here is my style, and I see body because that's what I applied it to, or that's what it was applied to when I went File, Page Properties. Now I can see this through my CSS Designers panel as well by looking at the sources. I can see style, and I can see global and body. So if I click on Show Set, I see my image here as well. Okay, so whenever you see style, it's applied only to this page. Okay, only to this page. So to test that and to prove that to you, I'm going to open up Index, and Index doesn't have water. Okay, so if I want all of my pages to have that, we can practice what we learned in Chapter 3 by moving the style. So this is what's demonstrated on page 23. We want to go ahead and move, I gotta go back to About Us. Move this body style to SU styles. So we just take it and drag it up and drop it on SU styles. And now when I come back to Index, I see water now because now it's in the style sheet, which is applied to all of our pages. So when I look at SU styles, scroll down through the global section, I am not going to see that it's placed in the correct spot, because when we move styles in the CSS Designers panel, it puts it at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and take that code, cut it, and I'm actually going to take these blank lines, and I'm going to go up above the tablet section, and I'm going to paste that style in, okay, because I want my global styles to be all in the same area in my style sheet file. I'm going to go ahead and do a File, Save All. Okay, they demonstrated using the SPA page. It really doesn't matter. Index any one of these, okay? So let's go ahead and look at the next section, which is Edit a Background Image Selector. So now we're on page 25. So we're going to be working with the header div class. So the header div class is going to be working with our banner, okay? So we have a header div in our tablet section. And there it is. So if I hover over this, I see SU_logo. Okay, so remember this is our global section. So if I were to look at live view and drag this over, there is that image. So if I hover over this again, you can see that they're the same because this is what I would use for a smartphone. And then when I get to that tablet view, so if I scroll down into my tablet section, there's header and there is SU banner. Okay, so we can view these through CSS Designers panel. And so we'll click on that, click on global, and then we can look at the header div here. Okay, and we'll choose this one and uncheck show set, and show set, here's that SU logo. If I go to tablet and choose header div, I see SU banner. Okay, so let's go back to global because they want us to put a background of no repeat. So go back to global, get my header div. Just choose the first one in the list when you're doing a search. So background repeat should already be set to the no repeat. Okay, so instructions in the book tell us to do this step, and it's number 2 on page 25, but it's already there. Okay, number 3 says to go to only screen min width. So this is the 4081, this is the tablet, and then we'll find our header div again. And then we're going to have to uncheck the show set, go to layout, and then find the background. Or no, you know what, it's under background. So background repeat, and this one they want us to do repeat X. So what this does is it works with this banner here. Now let me go back to no repeat. See the white space? So when I do the repeat X, it's starting to repeat the image, and so it's getting this first portion. So based on your resolution, this works okay with this image because this first part here can be repeated. If we get it where it would repeat and start breaking the striped umbrella text in again, then it wouldn't be a nice option to do the repeating. So you got to be careful based on what image you choose on whether you're going to repeat. Now we can also use background size as far as our CSS properties. So this one uses using background repeat. You can go ahead and use background size. So let me jump over to the assignments page because I mentioned this here as well. So let's go ahead and click on this background size. Let's take us out to W3 Schools. And so you can see this is what we would use if we were using auto. And so then we have all of these different options to use with background size. There is contain. I thought I remembered them. Yeah, right here. These are all the values that we can use. So play around with them and see which one works better for the image you choose for your banner for a coffee shop, because you'll be required to choose a banner or banners, one for mobile and then tablet and desktop. So play around with the background size. I think it works better than the background repeat. Okay, and there's a video that's going to be there, a video that is already posted on doing so and how to select your images there for coffee shop. We'll talk about that more in the assignments video.